Hello and welcome to the Gamecast live on YouTube. We're back and we're going to give you some more news about the gaming industry. A lot of PlayStation news this week, and I'd like to introduce Turbo. How you doing, Turbo?
Doing all right.
What you been up to this week?
Oh, not much. Was giving out and trying out the DLC for Doom Eternal, the Ancient Gods Part 1 that they have up there, and was able to get all the trophies for that on the PlayStation 4, so happy to do that. Although, if you follow me on Twitter, @TurboXLR, you'll be finding some very choice clips from the my playthrough of the DLC, and yeah, I think Id and Bethesda need to work on it a bit more, especially if they're gonna do a part 2. Might take a little bit longer to release that after what I've experienced. So
well, like it says, people, this week we've got quite a bit of Sony news. We've got some Xbox news, not only a little bit, because there's a lot of Xbox news going around at the moment. We might save that for a special in the next week or so when Xbox gets launched, the new consoles. But also we've got some PC news and we've got some great Nintendo news as well on the show. But we're first off, the first topic is from Sony, and we're going to be saying Sony are saying they will sell more than 7.6 million PlayStation 5 consoles by March 2021. Now, it's a bold statement, but the way the pre-orders are going, where you can't physically get one, I'm getting one, by the way, but like you said, it could be. I think they will easily do it if they can get the demand out to the people, because people are standing there saying, "Give me a PlayStation, give me a PlayStation." It's the same with the Xbox. So, what do you feel about on this?
it is very bold. It's I think it's just way too bold of a statement for this for the PS5 launch and whatnot. The major thing is we're in this situation where obviously we don't have the manpower to be producing so many units at a given time. And normally, these kind of like launch windows of like the first 6 months and whatnot, stock for a system is not that well in bulk to begin with. So really, I don't see Sony making that many, having that many units available and be able to sell through them by March before their fiscal year ends. Because that's what they're aiming for, is to try to hit that number before the fiscal year ends, because of how the year has been for Sony in general. Because of course, although granted, I don't think companies like Sony would have been hit too hard because of the pandemic and whatnot. Yeah. It's like because when a lot of people were in lockdown and whatnot, a lot of people were buying digitally.
Yeah.
And if they were buying physical, they were buying physical from various online retailers. So that wasn't an issue to a lot of people, because social distancing was easy to do with delivering stuff, and then they deliver something to your door and they just step away. It's easy enough. But no, with Sony having that big of a projection to start with, especially for this new generation of consoles and their price points for their consoles as well, it's a tough sell unless they're making a lot more of the 360 pound version, the digital version, than they are of the 450. Because I can't expect them to be selling, and this is units. This is not like value of how much they're actually making from the system. This is units, and for them to think that there's gonna be like over 7 million people wanting to buy a unit that's over 360 quid, It's like,
Well, they did say, didn't they? They did say that the pre-orders went out, and within, I think it was in 12 hours, they'd sold more in 12 hours than they did in 12 weeks of the PlayStation 4. That's the reason why they're going on these figures of selling 7.25 million consoles by March, because they said it took them 12 weeks to sell as many pre-orders as they did in 12 hours on the PlayStation 5. So that's where they're going. If they do it, fair dues to them, but we will see what happens.
Well, how many units have been pre-ordered? Do you have any figures on that?
No,
because if they got no figures to talk about for their pre-order campaign of like, for the launch and how many units they're expecting to sell at launch, how can they make that projection? So 5 months from now, saying that they will be able to get that. It's really bad. It's a really bad call on Sony to have that bold prediction when they don't have figures of deposits. Because right now, here in the UK, pre-purchasing has started for people who've pre-ordered either the new Xboxes or the new PlayStations, and that would give you a good guess of who's actually willing to pay for their consoles, because you're getting these people coming in, paying in advance to make sure they get their console, and they just be able to just walk away with it on launch without having to faff around with credit cards or debit cards or anything like that. Tech issues. Oh dear.
Oh shit. Wrong. Hang on. Tech
you're exposing the business.
Hang on.
The movie magic has been running down. There we go.
Sugar. There we go. What happened now? I don't know. Oh, it locked onto my other camera. So, well, anyway.
Oh dear. But no. Yeah. So just to reiterate, it's a very bold claim from Sony. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that they could hit that figure. That because they're estimating like 1.5 million per month. Yeah. It's like, if that's the case, and it's like, guys, come on. I don't think you're gonna be able to meet those projections. Not in this climate, especially if you can't make the stock fast enough. And the prices, I see the price is too high. It's like, I know some people might be able to afford it, but not everyone.
I know they are. It's the same with every time. It's the same with every console. They are taking a hit on how much they actually costs. I mean, I don't know. I think they estimated it's I think it's £550, £600 or something per console, and they are taking a hit on the price. But they have to. It's like the same old thing. They're trying to get the money back on the games and stuff like that. That's how they'll do it. But we will see. And like he says, Xbox, of course, is having the same issue by actually getting the consoles. Everybody's trying to pre-order a Series X or Series S, and some have, some haven't, and they're not very happy about it. We have heard, though, that I think next Tuesday, I heard on the grapevine, next Tuesday, some of the major shops, I won't mention the names, are actually getting some in PS5s and Series X's on December the 10th. On Tuesday. So if you're on any major stores, look out for the second wave on both consoles, because I think they're actually going to be having some stock to buy. So there we go. Right, so let's move on to another bit of Sony news. This is something that has been talked about just recently on a lot of videos on YouTube. Is Sony confirms the PS5 won't support SSD storage expansion at launch. Now, there's been a lot been said about this. I think, like I said, I'll give it my point. What I think it is because if they was to support, I know it's a PC NVMe drive and it's it's PC architecture. But the thing is, if people was to go out and buy any kind of SSD, it depends on the read and the write speed of the drive. If Sony has a minimum read and write speed, and you started putting your games on it, it's going to dramatically either slow the game down, or it's going to even make the game crash because it's not used to being loaded slower than it should do. But if they're going to make a list of all the SSDs which will be available for the PS5, And like he says, I've always said it, because it's PC architecture, it will be cheaper in the long run, because you can shop around once you know the exact specs of how fast the read and write speed will be. Right, what do you think about this, Turbo?
It's a bit worrying. I'll say that much. It's like if they have no kind of like expansive support from the get-go, whilst Xbox has expansive support from the get-go straight out of the bat, and there's already been previews talking about it and whatnot for the Xbox brand. It's a bit of a blow for Sony to not be ready to have that external support from the get, because that was the problem from with the PS4 to begin with. It didn't have any external support from the get-go until I'm gonna say like 2 years into its lifespan or something like that. So this is Sony's not learning. That's the bad thing. It's like Sony's not learning from what is working, because granted, yeah, the 1 terabyte hard drive you'll have on the system is a good, it's good enough hard drive space, but not every, it's like if the games are going to be so high in like for installation and whatnot, like we've seen in this generation, where there are certain games that can almost fit up, nearly half of a 1 terabyte, hard drive, then really they need to just. It's crazy. It's crazy how Sony's just really not been focusing on all the little things. And this might seem a little thing here, but it's an important little thing. It's something that needs to be available for users straight out of the bat, and be able to be compatible. It's like the problem Sony has with their memory in the years. Like, and I'm talking like not their actual literal memory. I'm talking like their saving memory and whatnot. It's like they've always tried to be their own dedicated kind of like thing. Like you saw that with the PlayStation Portables and the PlayStation Vitas, where you had those proprietary kind of like memory sticks for their saving memory,
special ones. And, I remember that.
Yeah, and they tried to control that. They trying to control the kind of like memory thing, and I don't know why they have this terrible issue with dealing with having kind of like a saving kind of like like basically they just need to figure out how to just have products ready and available to use on their system.
Yeah.
Other than their proprietary stuff. Like controllers, fine. Accessories, fine. Like, like battery chargers and stuff like that. That's fine. But this hard drive, this is a key point.
Yeah,
this is like a key thing that they needed to sort out straight away, and they don't have it ready for launch.
See, the thing is, what I say is they know what SSDs run in the PS5. They know the write speeds. They know the read speeds. All they had to do was tell the third-party people who make SSD, so this is our spec for our SSD. Can you come up with some? I mean, they may be doing it like Microsoft have done this before as well, where they want to bring out their own Sony SSD, so everybody buys that first hand, and then, of course, the third-party developers will get their hands on it and be able to do their own SSDs and stuff like that. But it's like you said, at least Microsoft has got an SSD which is actually available at launch or before launch even, right? And they've got. I mean, you'll need it for the S, which has only got 512 gig of RAM in it. So if you get an extra terabyte, it's going to tide you over until they actually make, say, a 2 terabyte or a 3 terabyte. But Sony have dropped the ball on that. I mean, it's okay sticking all your PS4 games on an external hard drive. That's okay. You can play them, no problem. But like it says, they keep saying, "Oh, we're going to activate the SSD drive in a firmware patch." That's all well and good, but when are they going to do it? And the thing is, a lot of people want to buy lots of games. They want to buy the new PS5 games, Ratchet and Clank, and all that. But if they can't fit them on, no, I know the SSDs are fast, But no one wants to keep uninstalling, installing, uninstalling. I mean, this is meant to be next gen. Not, I mean, they did that years ago, you know. But we'll see anyway. But hopefully, it's not going to be too long because I want to buy a new SSD. I know what I'm after. I'm after a 3 terabyte one. That's what I'm after. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, Sony, how can I put it? Sony always wants to do it their way. You know, I mean, Xbox does it as well. But like he says, they want to do it their way. And the thing is, when people buy these expensive machines, and they are expensive, you know, you want to get it all set up. You want to get it going in and stuff like that, get all your external drive done on your PS4 and all that. But if you haven't got it storage, I mean, I think what they said, I think it was, is it? I can't remember exactly how much the storage. I think it's over 600 gig is left on the SSD, but because they got the new UI on the PS5, which fair enough, 600 gig's okay. But if you get a few games like Call of Duty over 100 gig each, it's soon going to destroy that. So Sony, we need them SSDs launching very quick, or at least know the specifications so we can actually go out and buy our own. That's how we're going to sort it. Right, now another bit of Sony news, quite a bit of Sony news here. PlayStation Plus membership hits 46.9 million subscribers. Now that's actually quite big for Sony. You know, I mean, you think about it. I mean, that's on par with the sale of the Xbox console in general, so, worldwide figures, and that's a membership of PlayStation Plus. We know there's over 120, probably 120 million consoles, so it's not even half of what's, you know, people's bought the consoles, but it's still a big achievement to get that kind of people subscribing each month to the service. So what do you think, M. Serbo?
It's impressive. I mean, it could have, I can't remember how many kind of like users was on Xbox Live Gold at its highest point. But I think during its highest point, I think it was a lot more higher than this. But with the looming launch of the PS5, and they've got their PlayStation Plus program integrated into the PS5, and you're gonna get a free game out of PlayStation Plus when the PS5 is launched. With that of Bugsnax, which is nice, fun, kind of like free game to have for your membership on your PS5. Yeah. So I mean, it's just a ongoing thing. So it's finally justifying its price rise from a couple of years ago, where they had the price go up, remove Vita games from the free selection of games that you're getting. So you're only getting like 2 games. Well, actually, Vita and PS3 games, they were removing all that support. So now they've at least made it a little bit better to have if you've got PS5 now, or in the next couple of weeks, with having 2 games on PS4 and 1 on PlayStation 5. So
it says it's, I mean, I'm not saying it's on par with the likes of Game Pass, which is still to me amazing service. You can get first party games day one on the service. I mean, I'm hoping eventually Sony goes down that route eventually, where they, the new Last of Us or something comes out. You got it day one, but
well, at the moment they've got PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus as 2 separate entities. If they do like a Game Pass Ultimate where they combine the two at a discounted price and whatnot, that could be the solution of trying to outdo what Game Pass is doing. Because PlayStation Now, it's a good service to some people. Some people actually like that, where they've got all those kind of like generations of consoles to kind of like stream and download and whatever. But but no, at the moment they've got the 2 services separate. They need to combine them and have a generous offer in order to possibly bolster the numbers for those subscription services. So
See, also when the PS5 launches, they're launching PlayStation Plus Classics, which is, I think it's only at the moment on the PS5, so you can have access to the games like The Last of Us, in effect, what it is, it's like PlayStation now without the streaming bit, if you get what I mean. But that, to me, that should be that. If they like combined PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now, PlayStation Classics all in one game, at least people, I think, they're getting more for their money. I mean, until they start doing the things like Game Pass. I mean, I'm not, I love Game Pass, and the thing is, every company does their own thing, sort of thing. But like I said, it would be something from Sony if they said, yes, we're going to eventually start using doing first-party titles in the PlayStation Plus membership. But we'll see. But like I said, Sony's always want to go their way, and Microsoft are doing it their way. And of course, Nintendo do it their way as well. But it's we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Sony's still holding their own. They're still number one, and I still think they will be number one even after this generation. But like he says, it's a good milestone to hit 46.9 million subscribers, all paying a monthly subscription to you. It's not bad at all. Right, now we're going a bit into the next story is a bit of a rumor mill, which I actually hope it's going to be true.
I thought I burned that years ago.
But we'll turn that off and then we'll draw that one. Silent Hill could be coming back as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. The reveal date could be as early as December the 10th at the Game Awards. And I've heard lots and lots of rumors about this from different companies, different developers, saying that this is going to happen. Obviously, they've made a deal with Konami, and also there's also that big rumor that Hideo Kojima is going to come back and do Silent Hills as well. But we will see. I don't think so, because
it's very, very dodgy if that's the rumor that's going around. Because after he left Konami, that bridge was completely burned down. With that, I don't think that's the case.
But like it says, this game Silent Hills exclusive, this will actually probably be made. I'm assuming it will be made by Konami. They'll make a remake like Capcom did with the new Resident Evil games. They'll make it, and it will probably be published. I'm assuming it will be published by Sony Interactive because it's going to be exclusive. And they're saying, what I'm hearing, it won't be coming on any other platform. Except for might be on PC, as it's all going that way. But it will definitely be a PlayStation exclusive. And if it's anything like what Capcom did with the Resident Evil remakes, it could be very good. So, but we will see. December the 10th is when we're going to get a look at the new Silent Hill on PS5. So we'll see about that. Right, now we're going to talk about what Digital Foundry said about the PlayStation 5 backward compatibility. They said it is fantastic. Now, we know what backward compat is, and we know, Xbox has put a lot of work into their backward compatibility titles, but they're saying they've tested quite a few games, Digital Foundry, and they said that even games that's not been touched or anything are actually working better than they did. Then again, it is more powerful hardware, so you expect it to do it anyway. There is glitches on certain titles where it comes up on the screen saying you might get some errors playing this game because it hasn't been certified. But games like The Last of Us Part 2, God of War have all been tested. They haven't really amazed anything. I mean, if Naughty Dog was to go, Santa Monica Studio for God of War would go back in and redo God of War, they could actually probably have it in 60 frames and at 4K if they wanted to. Same with The Last of Us Part 2. That's actually running at 30, but then again, it's like any time. If a game's made at 30 frames, it has to be re-encoded to be run at any frame rate. It doesn't matter how powerful your machine is, it won't boost the frame rate. It's impossible. So they have to redo it. But any kind of backward compatibility is good. But I've always lent on this thing that when I buy a next-gen console, fair enough, you can play old games on it, but I bought it for next-gen games, not for backward compatible. So what do you say on this, Turbo?
It's funny actually, because I did watch a video not too long ago on YouTube where they were talking about backwards compatibility with systems and whatnot, and whether or not it is actually a selling point. And actually, it's surprising enough, it's not much of a selling point. It's a nice little feature for some people, but it's not it's not a big selling point that encourages people to kind of like pick up the next generation system. They are buying next generation systems for the next gen games, and that's the major thing. So I can now understand how some companies have been very like hesitant on talking about doing backwards compatibility for their next new console and whatnot, because it's time and resources that could be just being a waste of time to work on what they actually need to do, is to bring out a new piece of hardware to give to push us forward into the next generation, into the next generation and whatnot. So yeah, but myself, obviously I'm an advocate for backwards compatibility, because I feel as though the thing that you want to do is to be able to play your older games on a new machine, and then getting rid of the new machine and either selling that on to people to get a couple of extra quid out of it while the going's hot, or how it's always been in my family, is a hand-me-down to give to someone else in the family. Like it's because I always grew up in that point where it was like I started off with a Master System, then someone in the family had a Mega Drive and they gave me that, so worked on the Mega Drive. Then with the Mega Drive and whatnot, I was playing that for a good amount of years, and then it wouldn't be until like the Dreamcast era where I actually got my own console myself and whatnot. And at that time, obviously backwards compatibility was not even a factor for the Dreamcast back then, and yet that bombed and whatnot. But obviously the PlayStation 2 had backwards compatibility, and that was selling like hotcakes. But even though it was like a next generation, it's weird how the history of backwards compatibility within gaming can sometimes be beneficial, but then also be pointless at the same time. It's like it's back and forth, and it just depends on who's working on the games. I mean, you're talking about Santa Monica. Santa Monica would probably want to work on an update for God of War because they got the next God of War coming out on PS5.
Ragnarok,
So they want people to keep playing that PS4 version of God of War, so that way they can do that. But on the other hand, you're thinking, oh well, that's just gonna take time away from development of the next God of War for PS5. So why would they want to focus on it? It's all over the place. There's so many kind of like ways you can kind of like come across it, and it just depends on the studio, depends on developers, and depends on the games, really. I'm not expecting a backwards compatibility patch for Galgun double piece happening anytime soon. It's like who wants that, honestly?
Yeah, but like it says, I mean, I understand where people want to play the games, backward compatibility and all that. But the thing is like I've always said, I mean, if you want backward compatibility on emulators and all that, to me, the best way to do that is on a PC. The PC can do anything like that, And I understand people want to play in their old games. Fair, it does. I like to play my old games but to me, like you said, I would rather have new games to play on a piece of hardware than thinking about, I hope it plays such and such game. The thing is, you can always play that game on your old console if you wanted to. It's, to me, I would rather than push the hardware for next gen than concentrate on backward compatibility. I mean, someone says to me, oh yes, but I want my PS5 to play PS1, 2 and 3. I said, do you really want to play a PlayStation 1 game on a PS5 HD screen? I think it's going to look complete crap. You know what I mean? But anyway, people have their own views about that, and that's, well, like I said, we'll see. But at the moment, Digital Foundry did say it's running out the door very good on PS4 games on the PS5. So there you go. Right, so we'll move on to the next topic. I think we've got two more PlayStation topics to talk about. One quick one now is Gran Turismo 7. We know the Gran Turismo series is actually going. As said, there's a rumor it's going to be launching in 2021 on the PS5, which could actually be quite good if they do launch Gran Turismo. I'm not a real big fan of driving games, but I do know how good they do look graphically. I mean, it's like photorealistic stuff. So what do you think about Gran Turismo? Are you a big fan of the driving games?
Never have been, but
No.
here's the thing with me and with that rumor. That is a whole load of dog shit.
Yeah.
Because really, in all honesty, like previous entries of the Gran Turismo series has not been favored at all, especially the last one, which was Sport. And and you always see them working so long on these titles and whatnot, even when the console has already been out. Like they would still be working on it for another 2 or 3 years on top of it after console launch. So for this rumor to go around to saying, oh, we're gonna have a Gran Turismo game in the first half of 2021, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, and Polyphonio Digital, they are renowned for always delaying their games anyway. So if they do announce it, that the amount of times they've delayed the previous games, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, their games do look amazing when they make them. But, I mean, if they did launch Gran Turismo 7, I mean, we don't know how long it's been in development. It could be in development for 5, 6, 7 years or plus. But the thing is, that's okay if you're a driving game fan. But the thing is this. If it comes out, fine, but I wouldn't hold out any hope for it. Not at the beginning of next year. Probably middle summertime, probably end of the year, maybe, but not at the beginning.
I don't even think this year, that year at all.
You don't think? No, because they, I think what it is they want to get some first party titles out there. Sony do it, but there's so many titles that they could do. Besides the main ones, like, I know we've got Ratchet and Clank coming out, which I will be playing when I get it, stuff like that. But Gran Turismo has always been like, how can I put it, the outsider game for Sony. It's always been on the back burner all the time. It's not like been in the forefront, like God of War and stuff like that. But I know it's got a loyal fan base, and if it comes out, fine. I'll take a look at it. I probably won't buy it or play it, but it will look good. They always do. Right, now the next one is something to do exclusively for the PS5, which is a new feature on the user interface, which is being implemented when in the Interface Direct. Is Demon's Souls is going to get 180 tip videos in game if you get stuck. Now, to me, who when I get stuck in a game, oh no, I've got to Google the walkthrough, I've got to watch a YouTube video. Oh, where's the bit? And I can never find where I want to go. But if you get stuck, and this is going to be on most PlayStation 5 games, if you really get stuck, the game will help you and can give you a little video pop up on the screen and tell you what you need to do. Now, a lot of people think that's cheating, but to me, if you get stuck on a game, it costs you £70, and you can get a bit further in the game, you're going to get more out of it. So, Turb, what do you reckon on this?
I think, obviously, when we saw it in the video presentation for the PlayStation's interface the last time we were here, it obviously it's a nice little feature and whatnot. It's a little convenience. How people are going around that this is kind of cheating? No, it's not cheating, because it's cheating if it's playing the game for you. It's like if these videos were actually like the computer, the PlayStation 5 itself playing the game for you and taking control of your character and doing the thing that you need to do now, yes, that'll be cheating, but it's not. It's giving you tips on where to go, what to do, and how to do it, but how you do it is up to you. You've got the controller in your hand, and that's the thing that people are forgetting about these things. It's like, and we've had this happen. We've done this before. Like, what was it? One of the major YouTubers who is popular on YouTube, Gerard Cleo, the completionist. He completes a game pretty much every week, and he does it 100%. Do you think he does that blind? Fuck no.
No.
He does that with help. He does it with guides. He does it with he does it with user help to tell him where he needs to go and what he needs to do and whatnot, and do this, that, and the next thing. If he tried to do that blind every week, and it's like the man would be having a breakdown every week, because sometimes in some games you can't understand a pattern or a mechanic or whatever in a game without being told what it's all about and how it's shown, how it's whatnot. And this is what it is. It's that you're being shown how to do this. And of course, it can't be more fitting for a game such as Demon's Souls, because that originally, when it first came out, it came out with a guide. So if people are getting pissy at gameplay videos making the game easier, it's like, what about all those people who bought the collector's edition of Demon's Souls on PS3 back in the day, when they got a blooming guide with it to try to help you get through the game? Come on.
Yeah, it's like it says, I mean, people say, oh, yeah, but I want to play through the game, no help at all. That's admirable. Fair enough. You do want to do that. But to me, when I buy a game, if I get stuck on it, I don't want to go in a walkthrough. I don't want to go in a tip video. But if that means me saying, right, if I can't get past this, I'm going to quit and I'm not going to play the game again, I've just wasted my money. So if I can get a little tip just to get past just a little bit, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Right, now we're going to move over to one little bit of Xbox news this week for the Series S. Now, we've been talking earlier about SSDs and how Sony is not releasing their SSD at launch. Now, the Xbox Series S only has 364 gigabytes of usable storage on the 512 gig SSD. Now, this is what that 1 terabyte little memory card's going to have. Well, you're going to have to get one if you've got an S, because, I mean, if you get 3 big games like Call of Duty, that's it. It's full, And this is what I mean. I mean, if Sony would have brought out, say, the digital version of the PS5 with this kind of SSD on it, and then say, oh, we're not bringing the SSD upgrade out till 3 more months, then you would be in serious trouble. So what do you think about this and then on the Xbox Series S? Yeah,
it's making it difficult as an entry-level console if you've only got less than half of the SSD available for installing games. I mean, granted, I think, what was it? With Game Pass, not only can you download and whatnot, but I think you can stream games. Like you can stream them from a service, from a cloud service, or is it just download?
Well, no. Xbox has brought out their own little cloud service on the side as well. So
right, okay. So at least you got that as a backup, but not everyone. Like I said before, in the past, where certain regions in the world do not have a steady enough internet connection to do cloud gaming. Or that's why Stadia is not the fantastic platform that it is, even though it keeps on popping up on my YouTube ads every time I boot up a video. It's like you have to understand that having so much dedicated to your operating system for your infrastructure of the system, and not giving enough to allow you to download any titles. It's come on, Microsoft. It's like I know it's a very kind of like cheap option for user, but this is obviously the major. I was talking to this with customers in my generic store, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm getting the S for my kid. They only play FIFA, or they only play Minecraft." That's great, but what about those other people who are gonna be wanting to do more? You know, who want to play more and want to have that entry level console to be able to get into the next generation at a cheaper price point. And then they find out that you're only going to have at least 2 games to be installed at the same time, you know, and then you have to reinstall and delete and reinstall games, and say it's got to be a faff about of it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But like he says, this is what we knew were going to happen when the new SSDs were going to be introduced in the PlayStation and the Xbox. It's new tech, NVMe, non-volatile memory express. It's very fast memory. And the thing is, it's going to be expensive. It's expensive on PC. So it's like I said, it's going to take time for it to come down. And like as we said earlier with Sony not releasing their SSD upgrade, not at launch, that has really upset a lot of people. Now, with Microsoft, at least they've got the memory card. I mean, if you can afford it, you could buy 2 of them SSD memory cards, you know, 1 gig a piece. I know they're $220 or £219, which is very expensive, but you could do that if you wanted to, if you had the money. But like you said, it will get cheaper on the Xbox, and it will get cheaper on the PlayStation. But Sony, to me, like I says, I'm looking forward to my PS5 in a couple of weeks, but I was more looking forward to being able to buy an SSD, a PC SSD to go in it. But we will see. Hopefully the announcement will be earlier than later. But with Microsoft, now, like it says, the Xbox Series S is cheaper, right? Fair enough, it's a good entry point level. But where it comes to storing games on that little internal space, you will definitely need an SSD. But this is the argument I had before. If you're going to pay $200 for the upgrade for the S, that takes it up to the same price as a Series X anyway. So in my opinion, you'd probably be better off trying to get a Series X than the Series S, because you're still paying the same amount of money, and the Series X is more powerful. So that's the way it looks to me. If I've got to pay $400 anyway, including the SSD, I'd buy just order a Series X. Right, so there's going to be a lot of debate about this SSD in a few weeks or months to come. So let's see what else we got. Now we're going to move on to a big milestone that's happened this week. Nintendo. Oh yes, they have just hit sales figures for the Switch of 68.3 million consoles. Well done, Nintendo. And that firmly sews up Nintendo still in second place behind Sony, and still makes Xbox in third position. So what do you say about Nintendo, mate? I mean, that console, to me, has always been the same price from day one. It's never really got that cheap, really, has it? And it's always held their own. And with Nintendo, every console they make money on it. Now, with Xbox and PlayStation, they lose money every time they sell a console. So you've got to take your hat off to Nintendo for that kind of sales figures.
Well, sadly, I can't take my hat off because it's got my headset on top of it. But no, with how Nintendo has brought themselves back out from the brink of the abysmal Wii U kind of like debacle has definitely been shown in Switch. Like they found an innovative way of selling their console, and they did it. And that's evident by these kind of like sales numbers. And of course, with recent kind of like events, Nintendo has been the go-to system to have something there, because when what was it on top of these figures for like the console sales and whatnot, it's the software sales of Animal Crossing that's obviously helped Nintendo a lot this year as well, because the sales for that is just absolutely amazing. Like I wasn't expecting Animal Crossing to be that big of a seller, but no, that's like that's almost like going hand in hand with a lot of the kind of like console sales that were happening this year. And this is only Nintendo this is Nintendo's third year since March with the console, and they'll be starting their fourth year next year. And they're still going strong. And I don't know what their projected figures are for their fiscal year coming up in April next year. But if it's probably looking to be what they're projected at this moment in time. And of course, you're saying there, it's like the price point for the system has always stayed the same. Yes, that it has been the same with its original model. But when they released the Lite, I think the Lite obviously helped a lot of people.
That's gone down, price. That's about £200 or something.
But yeah, that's a good little system if you just want a handheld system that has almost HD quality kind of like presentation in its game. Now, granted, the Vita was that it tried to be that, and it tried its very best with that, but it didn't have but I think it just didn't have the right marketing to start with the original Switch. Because when the original Switch was out for about a year and a half or so, that's when Nintendo said, okay, now let's put it out as a handheld only console and see how that goes. And then when people saw how awesome the Switch was and how awesome the games were, they thought, okay then, well, now here's this cheaper option. I'll get that now. And there you go.
The way I see it is this is going to be a very good year for Nintendo, because there's a lot of people out there who can't get hold of a PlayStation 5, who can't get hold of an Xbox Series X, and have got all this money in their hands. And they're thinking, well, I know, I'll buy a Switch. I'll buy a Nintendo Switch. I mean, I'm getting a Switch, but I'm just saying there's a lot of people out who are going to be very upset because they can't get a pre-order of the next gen, and they still want to buy something for Christmas. So Nintendo's saying, well, come on, buy a Switch. We've got plenty of stock. We've got plenty of stock on the shelves. Come and get one of them.
Yeah, I mean, granted, there was always a lot of people who are looking for Christmas gifts and whatnot. And I think, granted, there was got to be a lot of people who are going to be getting a Switch this year anyway for Christmas. Because there's still, even though that's a big number there of like 68.3 million worldwide sales, it's still not as big as you think, because there are still plenty of people who have not picked up the Switch, and they were thinking, okay, I'm just going to wait until Christmas time so I can get one then. So yeah, that's just going to be on top of all the people who are just like, oh, I need something to keep me going for a while and whatnot. Oh, here is the latest system that I didn't pick up from that generation. Let's go get it and whatnot. So it is going to be very interesting for Nintendo, and to definitely see what their figures are at their end of fiscal year.
Now, if I was Nintendo, right, this is what I would do. I mean, they know it's that people are, they're trying to get hold of a new Xbox, they're trying to get a new PlayStation, and if they didn't pre-order it, quite frankly, like I said earlier in the stream, there may be some on this Tuesday on retail for both PS5 and Series X. But the thing is, if Nintendo was to drop the price of the Switch by, say, £50, that could have a dramatic. I know it means losing a bit of money, but it's
a bit of a hard sell for that to happen. I mean, Nintendo have not been for one to try to lower the price of their consoles that often. It's mostly been their games. And when it comes to Christmas and for Black Friday in general and whatnot, if they want to try to pick up a few more kind of like sales, then they'll obviously be bundling more games with the system and selling the games at a slightly less cost and whatnot to get more units out. Because once you get the units out, all you need to do is just show the games, and that's what Nintendo have been doing. They've been showing a lot of games. Even though it's a lot of them are kind of like ports and whatnot. They recently just ported No More Heroes 1 and 2 recently from the Wii category or catalog into the Switch, and apparently it's been I haven't played them myself, but apparently they translated quite well for that. So it's just a case of what is being available on the Switch that can entice people to get it. And but if you just like, bundle it up with a couple of games, have it at a really good discounted price of like saying, having 2 top tier Nintendo titles for like, for 280 quid, which is just the console, just with 2 free games with it. It's like, that'll be a seller. So
yeah. I mean, like it says, I'm going to order mine, see my Switch. I've been buying little bits here and there. I actually made an account on the Nintendo store the other day, and all that's getting ready to get some stuff like that. But it's a bit of a pity though. The thing is, I couldn't understand why I couldn't do this, but I tried to purchase some digital games off the Nintendo store, but it won't let me because I've not got my Switch connected to the account.
Yeah,
but I thought I could do it, but I couldn't. But like I said, I'm going to sort that out, and I will be getting, like it says, I'm going to get the one with the dock, the original one, because I want to be streaming it, because you can't stream the Lite. So there you go. Right, another Nintendo announcement. This is a bit older, this one, but I wanted to talk about this. Nintendo Direct announcements. Now the cloud gaming Control game is out now, and Hitman 3 is coming to Nintendo Cloud in 2021. Now we know what this is about. These are games that can't physically be put on the console because it's just not powerful enough to run them. So what they're going to do is they're going to stream these games directly to the console through the Nintendo Cloud system. Now the problem I'm finding is Nintendo has not set up any kind of cloud service, like a streaming service. What you have to do is, if you want Control or Hitman, you have to pay the physical full price of say $50 or $60 for the game, and then you can stream it from the cloud to your Switch. Now I'm hoping that Nintendo do bring out a cloud streaming service so they can do for games like this, because you think about it, if you're going around the world with your Switch and you've got a good Wi-Fi area, you could be playing some of these top games on the go. That's what I want. That's what I wanted with my PlayStation Vita, which never materialized as good as that, because things like BioShock was going to come to the PlayStation Vita, but it never did. That's why I've just bought the BioShock collection for the Switch. So, but yeah, what do you think about this cloud gaming then on the Switch, Turbo?
Yeah, it's been a deviled kind of like experimentation for the Switch, because prior to this announcement in Japan, Capcom released a cloud version of Resident Evil 7 on the Switch, so people could play Resident Evil 7 on a streaming kind of like platform for a second. Now I didn't know if that was successful or not, and I was kind of like scoffing at the idea, because I feel as though that doesn't. I still kind of like scoff at the idea of cloud gaming with Stadia and whatnot, because some people, because like I said, people don't have the internet connection to do that. But for other companies, particularly that of Microsoft, it's not Microsoft this time around with Control. It's Remedy. Remedy wanting to do a cloud version on Switch, and then you're having who's the guys behind Hitman? Is it IQ or?
I'm not sure, 100%. Not sure.
But it's not. I know it's not Square Enix anymore, because they sold the rights back to the development studio. But no, for them to also wanting to do a cloud version of at least their next entry in the series again. On the Switch, it's interesting, but it's also questionable as well whether or not that will work. It's good that they have a try before you buy kind of like thing. So it's essentially it's a bit of a kind of like demo slash kind of like trial version.
Yeah, I think what it is, I think that Control game on the Switch, you'll play it and you'll get to say the end of say the first level, then it'll say, right, to continue, you're going to have to pay for it, or something like that, But I like the idea. But the thing is, Nintendo, if they're going to do some kind of cloud service like this for streaming to the Switch, they're going to have to do some kind of a subscription. But either include it in the Nintendo Online package that they have got, the online service, or do a separate service for it. But this charging $50-$60 for the game just to stream it to your Switch, I don't think that's going to hold water.
I don't think that's, well, I think it's a 50-50 kind of like thing where, because I think the decision is made by both Nintendo and the developers who are working with to do this kind of like Nintendo Cloud version of their game on the system. It's questionable, and granted, they've got these services already. You've got the Nintendo Online service already, where you've got the multitude of backwards compatibility libraries for their classic vault, like the SNES and NES kind of like libraries that they have there, and many rumors of like other platforms to be added to that service down the line as well. For them to possibly, like, maybe, because at the moment the price for that is really affordable. It's like $17.99 for a year membership for one user, and then 36 or 33 pound for a family of 8, or like a party of 8 members to be a part of, to take advantage of all the online features. If you just bump up the price a bit, possibly make it like 25 quid for a single user, and then maybe 40 quid for the big family package, putting cloud gaming as a feature, and then that way you can have like cloud streaming of all the probably not all of the third-party stuff, but at least your major Nintendo titles. So your Mario Odyssey, your Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, your I'm trying to think of other major titles, your Zelda Breath of the Wilds and stuff like that. Yeah. So
the thing is, because of what Nintendo did with Microsoft with the Azure cloud gaming stuff and all that, I got a feeling that Nintendo are going to go in with some kind of the xCloud stuff. I think they're going to do. They might use Microsoft servers to do their own version of cloud. That's what and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's the case with with Control and this rumored Hitman 3, because I would think it would be Microsoft helping them out on that. I would think, but who knows? Yeah.
But like it says, I hope they do something like that, because I would love to have a decent cloud service for the Switch. Especially when you go in especially if you can get in a Wi-Fi area, decent Wi-Fi area. When you go on holiday, you can just go and play any game you want. But it is that's what I wanted for the Vita, but it never seemed to come off as it is. It's a more Switch. The last bit of Switch news we've got this podcast is the Crash Bandicoot 4 could be coming to the Switch. Have you played Crash Bandicoot on the Switch, Turbo?
No, but I did play the second entry of the trilogy on the Switch, and I thought actually it ran quite well, actually. So the guys who ported the Switch version was the same guys who developed Crash Bandicoot 4, which is Toys for Bob. And they did a cracking job of the port for the Switch. I can't fault them for them to just port Bandicoot 4. All they have to do is just turn down the graphical kind of like fidelity for the game, because I know it's quite bright and whatnot, and very, very kind of like detailed with its environments and whatnot. Just downscale it a little bit and make it fit onto a cartridge, and boom, you got Crash 4. I was half expecting them to have a version ready for launch, but no, they only had like PlayStation and Xbox available. I feel as though it's a missed opportunity if they keep it off of the Switch for the next year. I don't know if it's just a licensing agreement with Activision, because Activision owns the license of Crash, and they said, all right, we want to allow you guys to make a sequel, but you can only do it for these two. You can only do it for the Xbox and the PlayStation at the moment. We can't let you do any other versions at the moment. After a year, we'll let you, work on a port for the Switch and see how it goes from there. So yeah, it's just up in the air with that. It's like I'm half expecting them to have it released sometime next year, possibly. But the other half of me is saying it's like, maybe they might want to skip on it. It really depends on how well it's sold. Like because that's how the fourth game got made, was the result of the trilogy that got released. Yeah, if it wasn't for the Insane trilogy, we wouldn't have that new Spyro. We wouldn't have the Spyro Reignited trilogy, and without both of those game collections together, you wouldn't have the sequel of Crash 4. In fact, I'm more likely to expect a new sequel of Spyro than that port of Crash 4. So.
Yeah. I mean, like it says, I played Medieval. I did, the old PS1 game. I played that on the PlayStation. That's good. I've done a good job on that. Right, now we're going to move over to just a bit of PC news. This is the last news of the day, unless Turbo's got something else.
No, I'm
good. So, hang on. All right, and we're going to turn over to PC. And now the Call of Duty Cold War has been talk about this on the consoles as well as the PC. It has, if you've got an RTX graphics card, the 3080 or the 3090, a full install is 250 gigabytes. Now that's a big install. I suppose it's to do with all them textures and stuff for the PC. And of course on normal cards it's 175 gig. Now with Xbox, I think Xbox is about 135 and the PS5 is roughly the same. So that's some storage for a game, especially on these new SSDs where every bit of storage counts. So what do you think about this?
It's a lot. It's definitely, I mean, if you're looking at a 250 gig install for those RTX graphics cards, and you've only got like a terabyte of SSD on your PC, and you've already got other things already installed in there, that's a good chunk of your SSD already being used up. So it's a tough sell to try to kind of like have that forced to RTX owners.
I mean, what it is they did say that, they do the same thing where you can like download the single player game and then you could download the multiplayer game separate. But so I suppose what a lot of people will do, because I think what it is, I think what I heard was the multiplayer is only 50 gigabytes, but the rest of it is campaign. So I suppose what you do is you'll go through the campaign and then delete the campaign and keep the multiplayer, which ain't too bad when it's only 50 gig. That's the way most people will do it, but it's still an insane amount of money. When you think about it, 175 gig, right? You've got, what's that? That's an extra 20. That's extra. Hang on, I can't work it out now. 75 gig of extra textures and all that for RTX. I mean, granted, it's going to look amazing, but surely they could have compressed that a bit more than that. I mean, come on. But that's PC Master Race for you.
Yeah, they just want to kind of like bring out the most out of their systems, I suppose. And I mean, granted, I don't know if this is for the RTX owners. It's like, are they? I basically just passively said things like they're forced to do it. Are they forced to download that version, or are they?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because that's the thing. If they're forced to download that 250 gig version to work, to have the game working on their systems, if they are RTX users, then that's a bit scummy, because you should be able to have the option. If you've got all these kind of like features, if you're wanting to use ray tracing and stuff like that, but those are features that can be turned off in the game and whatnot, then have the lower end version, like the lower kind of like gigabyte versions available for all users, not just limit it to people who don't have the RTX graphics cards. Give them to the ones who do have them, but would like to keep a little bit more because they don't care about wanting to get the most out of their system. It's like Because I'm the same. I'm one of those users. Like, it's like I use a PC, but I'm not looking for it to be playing the games at the highest fidelity it can have. No, I just want it to run stuff. You know?
I think they had the same thing a while back on the Xbox, where when something to do with Gears of War, I think they had something about a high texture pack that had to be installed, you know, for the Xbox One X and stuff like that. But I'm sure they had something similar with that, where you had to install it regardless if you could run them kind of textures anyway. But like it says, it's if you want the best, you're going to have to suffer for it, aren't you? So there you go. Well, if you've got no news, no more news, Turbo, I shall wrap this up for this week. So what it is, I hope you enjoyed what you see, people in the chat. I know there's a lot of people coming in and out. If you missed half the stream, remember you can actually rewind it and watch from the beginning. We had a lot of topics today about the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Remember, if you want to get in touch with Turbo, there's Turbo's Twitter at TurboXLR. Also, remember he streams, I think, every day on Twitch. I'll get his Twitch thing up. They are Turbo Drive Live on Twitch. You can go over there and give him a follow. You know me, I'm at Warric on Twitter, and I'm on every platform. If there's a platform there, I'll be on it. So we will be. We'll have to sort something out, but we'll be trying doing a special on the launch of the Series X and PlayStation 5. I'll actually be live streaming on the 19th on the PS5 all day. I'll be playing Astro's Playroom. I'll be playing Godfall and what else? Oh yeah, Ratchet and Clank, the new game. I'll be playing that all live on stream. So if you want to see the PS5 in action, come and watch me play it and make a complete fool of myself. So until next time, this is Turbo and me signing off, and I will see you again, people. So hope you've enjoyed the podcast, and if you have, please drop a like and a sub on YouTube for when we drop some more content. So until the next time, it's bye-bye.
Bye-bye.